Hello friends and welcome into NBA Now. I am Tom Downey, alongside me is Harrison Graham. Believe it or not, the NBA trade deadline is almost here, so we're going to take you through all of the latest NBA rumors, beginning with I'm just going to call it intriguing one, Harrison, around Clint Capela, as the Rockets are openly shopping him.
Yeah, this one kind of popped up in the last couple of days, but it's really kicked into gear in the last 12 hours or so, Tom. When I did my last video on Friday, Capela got brought up in trade rumors. Now, several teams are interested, and the Rockets are actually pretty much actively shopping him at this point, Tom. This is a desperate franchise, as we know, has made a lot of moves in recent years to try and break through and get over that hump that they have not been able to crack over the past couple of years in the playoffs. They feel like there's opportunity. Golden State is no longer in their way. They feel like if they can trade Capela, get another center back that may be a slight downgrade at that position, but also upgrade on the wing, maybe get some more scoring and defense.
They do love their wings.
Yeah, absolutely. They want guys who can shoot threes and play a little bit of defense, and as does every NBA team, but the Rockets more than anybody else. You look at his production, Tom, the last 4 years. This has really been a guy who's been very consistent. Scoring's a little down this year, but when you trade for Russell Westbrook in the offseason, that's not a huge surprise. So certainly a good center in today's NBA. The thing I like most about Clint Capela, Tom, is he knows exactly who he is. He's not going to try and shoot jump shots. He knows that's not his game. He's there to clean up around the basket and block shots. That's what you need.
It's still needed in the NBA.
Yeah.
I think Capela's pretty cheap on that, and yeah, he's not a 20-point-a-night guy. He's not an Embiid center, but is outing what Houston needs.
Yeah, I mean, 5 years, $90 million, less than $20 million per year. Some of it is backloaded. He's actually only making $14.9 this year. It continues to rise a little bit on into the back part of that contract. I think a fair question is, what are the Rockets missing?
A Kawhi Leonard, a LeBron James, a Giannis-esque wing player. Or maybe ball dominant.
You do look at recent teams that win it all. It's the best, two-way player in the NBA. Last year that was Kawhi Leonard. It's been LeBron a bunch. Or you have the Warriors who can score 150 points.
And they had Kevin Durant.
And Kevin Durant. So what do you guys think? What are the Rockets missing?
Now, I see many of you guys already in the comments section throwing out teams you'd like to see Capela go to. Harrison, you put together your top four.
Yeah, I think these are the teams to focus on, and let's start with the first team here on our list, the Boston Celtics, because according to Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, they've emerged as a possible trade partner with Clint Capela and the Houston Rockets, and it's not a surprise. I've talked about it on several videos. The Celtics have everything except for a good big man. They've got a good point guard in Kemba Walker. Their wings with Tatum and Jaylen Brown are excellent. Marcus Smart is a nice piece as a second-tier guard as well. They don't have a good big, though. Enes Kanter, okay, but Clint Capela would certainly be an upgrade. So I threw this trade together. Let's have fun. That's what we like doing here on NBA Now. Look at this trade.
Please send all of your hate to Harrison.
Like my guy Jimmy Crowther says, I cooked this one up. That's his go-to phrase. Rockets get Enes Kanter and Marcus Smart. So as I mentioned, you downgrade at center from Capela, but you still get a capable big. You upgrade at wing. You get a guy like Marcus Smart, brings toughness. He's an improved three-point shooter, playoff experienced player. Celtics get their big. They get Clint Capela and Daniel House, who isn't just a throw-in. He's scoring over 10 points per game this year, 37% three-point shooter. So you make up a little bit of what you're losing in Marcus Smart.
I see a couple comments saying not Marcus Smart. Unless you can find a taker for Gordon Hayward, that 33, whatever it is, contract's pretty hefty. You kind of have to include Smart to make the money side of it work.
And that's the thing. The only other guy you could maybe throw in there is Jaylen Brown. They're not trading Jaylen Brown.
Exactly.
Like, they're not going to do it. He's a younger, more upside player than Marcus Smart. Trust me, I'm aware how Boston fans feel about Marcus Smart. He's the heart and soul of that team. But if you want to get a guy like Clint Capela, he's kind of an asset you have to throw in there, not just money-wise, but to give a team like the Rockets, because the Rockets aren't trading Capela to sell. They're still trying to win. They're trying to upgrade at a different spot. That would be Marcus Smart. So that is what a trade package would look like. Maybe there's a second-round pick mixed in there somewhere, but I think it looks like something like that, Tom.
So what should the Rockets do then with Clint Capela? Type T for trade, K for keep. Harrison, I'll throw it to you, but I say you keep him. Unless you can really work out some type of crazy deal, I think you're better off keeping him on that team.
I agree. And when I first saw this a couple days ago, I was really surprised. I was like, man, they're looking to trade him possibly. I do understand where they're coming from. They feel like they have to do something again. I mentioned this is a desperate franchise that's traded a ton of draft capital in the future because they're trying to win now while James Harden is in his prime, while Russell Westbrook is in his prime. I think I would keep him. But that is an intriguing trade. If you can get something like that, I think it's worth considering. But I would say 80%. I think most likely they will indeed keep him.
I see more T's coming in right now in the comments section. Let's move on to our next trade rumor. This one around D'Angelo Russell. Now, Shams Charania says that the Timberwolves and the Knicks, we will get to the Knicks, I promise you, want D'Angelo Russell. Minnesota has coveted D'Angelo Russell for well over a year now.
Since last free agency.
They want to pair him with Karl Anthony Towns. They're having issues actually pulling that off, though.
See, the Timberwolves are in a tough spot because their superstar, Karl Anthony Towns, is basically starting to make demands. He doesn't like Andrew Wiggins. That's why they've been trying to trade him for a year and a half now, but no one wants his contract. They don't get along. He's best friends with D'Angelo Russell. These guys hang out a lot in the offseason, so they're trying to get him. But it's one of those deals that, A, is D'Lo and Cat really a duo that can do a lot together? It'll be fun to watch.
I kind of think it would. I mean, defensively.
See, you know what I think? I think, hell yeah, on 2K.
But to be fair, if you don't evaluate NBA teams based on 2K, what are we even doing?
But I will say this. On the flip side, on a more serious note, it's one of those deals, you're the Timberwolves. If the one superstar you have wants D'Angelo Russell, don't you have to do everything you can to try and get him? Otherwise, this guy's going to start asking to be traded, a guy like Karl Anthony Towns. It's not going to happen now, but maybe this time next year. This team's lost 11 games in a row, Tom. This is a reeling franchise. They haven't been good the last couple of years. The Jimmy Butler fiasco did not work out. We know they tried. They probably would have gotten D'Angelo Russell in free agency if the sign and trade didn't happen with the Nets and the Warriors. That handicapped them. So this is a trade I put together. And this is interesting because we're going to talk about Robert Covington more in a minute as well, who is in every NBA trade rumor on the planet.
Because everyone wants him.
Everybody wants him because he fits today's NBA. D'Lo to the Timberwolves. Warriors get a 2020 first-round pick. Robert Covington and Gorgui Dieng. You got to throw him in there for monetary purposes to make the salaries work. Now, what I'm reading, Tom, is that the sticking point here is Minnesota does not want to trade their 2020 first-round pick. And I respond with, why would the Warriors trade you D'Angelo Russell, who has 3 more years on his deal, without getting a first-round pick? I talked about that recently on a video. They don't have to trade him this year. They can easily see how he fits with Steph and Clay, trade him next year at the deadline if it doesn't
trade
work
him in
out.
the offseason.
Absolutely.
Like, there's no rush for Golden State.
The Warriors have all the leverage when it comes to D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, exactly. So who wins this trade then? At least the Harrison trade proposal. Type 1 for the Warriors and 2 for the Timberwolves. Who do you think wins it out of, even though you created it, so of course it's fair, but who wins it?
Normally I go with the team that gets the superstar, but I actually think in the long run it would be Golden State because I'm not convinced D'Lo does fit with those players. I'd like to see them try, see how it would look next year, but if you get a guy like Robert Covington, a good wing player on a cheap contract, Dieng's off the books after next season, maybe you find an offseason trade for him, then you've got some money to play with. You know, you can make some moves. You're coming back healthy. Sure, it'd be entertaining, D'Lo in Minnesota with Karl Anthony Towns, but I don't think that duo is making a ton of noise in the NBA. Maybe that's a 7 or 8 seed in the Western Conference. So I actually think Golden State would win in this case.
Now you mentioned money to play with. Well, you can get some of that on BetDSI. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code NBA120 for a 120% deposit bonus. That's chatsports.com/bet. And use that promo code NBA120. It's in the live chat right now. Harrison, you're looking at a game tonight you might put some money on.
Yeah, there's a late West Coast game for you guys to bet on. I've already put my money down at BetDSI. Spurs, Clippers. I love the late night West Coast basketball because I'm working on stuff. I just throw a game on. This is a pretty juicy one tonight. Clippers, we'll talk about them plenty throughout the show. Trust me. Spurs are in a tricky spot, too. Do they trade Aldridge? Do they trade DeRozan?
Trying to find
you can bet on that game at BetDSI. Chatsports.com/bet. Clippers 9-point favorites. I like them big tonight at home, so go take advantage of these deals at BetDSI.
Well, a kind of sort of former Spur, Marcus Morris, who of course agreed to sign and then bailed last second. What are the Knicks going to do with him? Because you and I are in the same boat here, Harrison.
This is classic Knicks.
Thank you.
This is so classic Knicks. let's build around Marcus Morris moving forward. Why? He's in a 1-year, $15 million contract, so he's a free agent after this year. Now, his camp has expressed interest in signing with the Knicks next year. Well, why wouldn't they? Because they'll probably pay more. They'll pay more than anyone else, which is why he bailed on the Spurs in the first place. Because the Knicks were like, $15 million a year for Marcus Morris. Why not? Look, I like Marcus Morris. He is a guy that is a contributor on a contending team. He is an ideal fourth option on a title contender. Catches wide open looks, shoots threes. He brings toughness to a team, good defensive play, versatility, can play the 3 or the 4. You look at the last 4 years, you see the volume increase this year. Why? Because the Knicks suck. Those last 3 years, he's with Boston on a contending team. He makes sense with a contender. He's not, and now to his credit, he's been efficient this year too. It's not like the numbers are up and the efficiency is down. He has shot the ball extremely well. Imagine the kind of percentages though he'll put up with a team like the Clippers, who is interested, or another contending team. I don't get this. This is classic Dolan. Let's re-sign him. He's a 30-year-old veteran. You're not building around Marcus Morris. It makes no sense. We threw this idea together when it came to Marcus Morris and the Knicks. We'll get to that right now because we'll talk about that one in a minute. Let's talk about the Clippers side of things here because they're the team that wants him. They've been consistent in that. And the Clippers aren't super crazy active on trade deals. They have a really good team. They want Marcus Morris, though. Doc Rivers has mentioned he wants toughness. He wants more shooting. Marcus Morris provides that. So how about this, Tom? Marcus Morris, 2020 first-round pick to the Knicks. Mo Harkless, salary dump. He's off the books after this year, $11 million this year. Then a young player, first-round pick from a couple of years ago, Jerome Robinson. So the Knicks get hasn't been great, but you got to throw in another player to get. He was a lottery pick 2 years ago. You get a first-round pick this year as well. He's an expiring contract. Sure, you might.
This is actually great value, I think, for us.
Guess what? You could go after him still in free agency if you're that hell-bent on bringing him back. So I think this would be great for the Knicks.
Now, the Knicks in general are,
bad.
They're just bad. So let's play a little game here. The year is 2040. By the time we reach that year, will the Knicks have won a NBA title again? Type Y for yes or type N for no. You got 20 years. You could just have one lucky season, or you get lucky with a superstar player you get in the draft.
Well, you know that. Well, I thought you were going to say via trade, which you know that's not going to happen.
Knicks can't sign anybody in free agency.
No,
We've accepted
we
that.
know that. They signed Marcus Morris.
I see almost only ends coming in here, Harrison.
I agree. Dolan's not dying anytime soon, so as long as he is around, they just have very little chance.
Different question here. By 2040, will James Dolan have sold the team?
No, because they keep selling out. I will say this. I don't know how Knicks fans do it, but they keep selling out those games. Spike Lee keeps sitting courtside for whatever reason.
Loyalty is powerful, my friend.
Man, they are bad. I'm with our audience. I'm going no.
Now, if you guys want more NBA trade deadline rumors and coverage, hey, subscribe. The deadline's coming up on February 6th. We will, of course, be live for that. So if you want all of the NBA rumors around the trade deadline, hit that big red button and subscribe. If there's a big-time trade rumor or trade talks or a big-time trade, we will discuss it. And, of course, during the NBA trade deadline, Harrison and I will be live for that as well. So I know you're watching on YouTube right now. Hit that big red button if you haven't already and subscribe. I promise you we'll keep you updated on everything around the NBA as the trade deadline rather quickly approaches. One of the players we mentioned briefly earlier, Harrison, was Robert Covington, who I like a lot, but Minnesota is willing to shop him in an effort to get assets of some type back.
Yeah, but 29 years old, so certainly not an old player, but Minnesota's not moving anytime soon. What Adrian Wojnarowski said, he's very confident that Covington gets moved. This player is the name that gets brought up the most in this year's cycle. Dare I say, Tom, he is the new Jay Crowder. Every year the trade deadline comes around, we'll throw in Robert Covington.
I prefer Covington to Crowder.
I do too. I think he's a better version of Crowder, but I think he has become that kind of guy because he fits the modern NBA. 13.6 rebounds, like Clint Capela at the center position. He knows exactly what his role is on an NBA team. And ignore that three-point percentage. The efficiency's down because A, the Timberwolves don't have a point guard. They traded Jeff Teague, so he's not getting good looks. And B, they just stink. Let's just call it what it is. If he's on a contending team, that number will go up. He's the prototypical role-playing 3-and-D guy, Tom.
At the moment, teams interested in Rocco, a.k.a. Robert Covington. The Mavericks, who've been looking for wing help. We mentioned Houston earlier. The 76ers, God, he fits that team so well. And then maybe a dark horse in the Milwaukee Bucks. So we want to know from you guys watching, where do you think Robert Covington will end up after the trade deadline? Who ends up making the big-time trade for him? One team, Harrison. And, of course, everyone chime in the comments. I already see the Heat and the Mavericks in there. Where does he end up?
Here's the thing. He fits on all 30 NBA teams. That's the point. You could list every single team in the NBA. I do think he gets traded. I think the Rockets make a ton of sense. Okay. If they keep Capela, find a way to go get Covington, make a salary match work there. He only makes about $11 million a year, so they could make something work there. Maybe PJ Tucker gets traded up north. But I think the Rockets or Sixers, like you mentioned, make a ton of sense. Teams that could use more shooting.
All right, so you guys let us know where you think he ends up, and we'll also tell you guys about our deal with Pro Flowers. Valentine's Day is almost here, and Harrison can tell you, you don't want to forget about Valentine's Day. He got in trouble not that long ago.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago. We try not to talk about it, but Pro Flowers is there to hook you up. I threw him under the bus
just now.
I've already taken care of my Valentine's plan. Hope the fiance's not watching. Want her to be surprised. But chatsports.com/flowers. What is it? 15% off?
15% off. Not just flowers, but gifts as well. Check the description. Check the comments. We've got that in there for you. If you guys do it right now, you can avoid paying the rush shipping, and it still arrives on Valentine's Day for you guys. Moving on now to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Much of talk about Kevin Love. His contract sucks. So what about Tristan Thompson as a trade piece instead?
Yeah, so I saw Tristan Thompson's name emerge today, which surprised me a little bit, but I think it's twofold. One, I think the Cavs have realized they're not going to find a trade partner for Kevin Love, at least before Thursday's deadline. So they're thinking, okay, how do we get some kind of assets? Well, Tristan Thompson, and a lot of you guys probably think, God, he sucks. He's a has-been. He's had a pretty good year, Tom. He's averaging a double-double, 12 points, 10 rebounds, over 50% from the field. 2.1 assists is a career high as well. He's really had a nice couple of seasons here since the Cavs have become kind of a bottom dweller after LeBron James left.
Now, back to good Tristan Thompson.
And here's the thing. He's making $18 million this year. Yeah, it's a lot, but it's expiring. So if you're a contending team and if you have a salary dump option and a pick you're willing to give up for a Tristan Thompson, I think it could make some sense there. We tried to make some trades happen. It's a little tricky with his contract, but the Cavs would certainly like to get a late first-round pick back for Tristan Thompson.